Welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, the podcast covering all things soccer in the Queen City. So get in touch, soccer fans. Email us at feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. Now, here's your host, Brian Weigel.
Hello, and welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk live at Buffalo Wings and Rings, Oakley. As you can see, we have a great boisterous crowd here at the Buffalo Wings and Rings and Oakley Station. Is that word? Oakley Station, yeah, because I'm a West Sider, so I know all this East Side stuff. But I love to venture this side of town and excited to be here with y'all talking some FC Cincinnati this week, a monumental, historic week with FC Cincinnati. So I guess I'm joined here, of course, it's your host, Brian Weigel, but I'm joined here with a little bit larger crew than normal. We got Yosef Sagai. How you doing, Yosef?
I'm doing very, very well, especially coming out with the W this weekend, but I'm sure we'll get to that later. It makes for a great live show.
And we got Trisha here. How you doing, Trisha? 2 shows in a row?
I know. I hope you guys aren't sick of me.
Never sick of you. Never sick of you at all. We got Razzle, Dazzle, Brazzle, Boston Brazzle, get thrown out of Penn FC. Mister, how you doing, sir?
Doing well. Just glad to be back in Cincinnati, and I'm actually going to spend the weekend here and check out the home squad.
Well, I'll be expecting that bail money back from you, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then we also got El Senor Bill Wolf. Bill, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, doing real well. Kind of nice to be in my home territory for this. Have the guys with me, so great to do a show face to face.
Well, we're very excited to have to be here out at Buffalo Wings and Rings, Oakley, home of Tuesday night wing night, and that's where we're going to be here. We're going to be smashing some wings later before trivia night, FC Cincinnati trivia night following tonight's show. Special shout out to General Manager TJ. TJ, thank you very much for having us out here today at Buffalo Wings and Rings, Oakley. Thank you for your great staff. And very excited to be here. So, guys, let's start it. We coming off a big win. We clinched the Eastern Conference this past week. FC Cincinnati wins 2-1 at Penn FC. But before we talk about the game, I do want to talk to Mr. Razzle Dazzle Brazzle, Mr. Troublemaker himself. Give us a little details. You traveled up to Harrisburg, the capital city of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it was an easy ride. In the crowd tonight is the man, Dan Blumenfield, and he's if anyone needs a taxi, he's the greatest taxi in the business. He'll take you to any FC Cincinnati match you want to go to, and you only need to provide limited funds. So I went up with Dan, and we had a great time. We got warned. This is better than Louisville. We got warned before the game even kicked off that we were too rowdy of a 25-person crowd for yelling the word sucks.
They're probably not used to having anyone there yelling.
Yeah, it was rough.
Well, we're very glad that you are back, my man. Glad that you're alive. That's always important. That you're not behind bars, but no, I'm glad you enjoyed your time up there in Harrisburg, and the 35 FC Cincinnati fans outnumbered and outsang those Penn FC. What do they call it? Capital City supporters, or whatever they call themselves.
A Capital City crew, but they have about as many fans as the Columbus Crew. So that's about right.
Ouch! We got to be nice to those guys. You never know. We might see them here next year. We might not. We'll see. All right, so let's dive down into the game real quick, guys. We'll do do we want to do our best and worst before we dive down in the game? Well, I'll tell you what. I'm just going to kick it off.
Yep.
My worst of the week. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to take this. The Koenig kiss from Thiago Calvano. I'm going to ask you this, Yosef, since we're pretty friendly. If I gave you a little smooch right off the bat, would that infect your performance the rest of tonight?
Boston does it all the time, and it throws me off. So I would say yes. I think it's a great strategy.
I'm trying to figure out if it's a best or a worst.
It's both. It's both.
Oh, I love it. No, seriously, though. I mean, this guy pecks him once, pecks him twice on the cheek, and then when the ref calls them both over to talk, he grabs Koenig by the cheeks, and our man almost would choke slam on him. which would have been a sight to see. Of course, both had yellow cards, and it kind of affected the play out of Koenig, I think, early on in the game. Of course, FC Cincinnati didn't start all too great. They weren't having a lot of meaningful possession. They started a lot more in the back foot, more hold possession, don't open themselves up. But then again, Penn FC strikes first with that free kick that they had, kind of bounced the box, and Paulo Jr. went there to head it to get them a 1-0 lead going into the half. And then I feel like it's been the story of the past several weeks. I think this is the third out of the past 4 games where FC Cincinnati's actually come back and won. We had a great goal kind of out of nowhere from Emmanuel Ledesma, getting the ball on the right, cutting into his left, one shot in the top corner. And then 20 minutes later, Corbin Bone does the same thing on the exact opposite side. So that was 2 great goals to see. Of course, we might not have been talking about a win if it wouldn't be for Forrest Lasso keeping the ball out of the back of the net, though. So that's a real quick recap of the game. But as I said, let's do best and worst. So I'm going to start with you, Joseph Sagai. Give us your best and the worst out of this past game.
I'm going to say the best from this game is a consistent come-from-behind win. The FCC fans of year 1 and year 2 knew nothing about that. When we went a goal down, it was very rare that we ever had that win. So seeing the team be resilient on a pitch that isn't the best against the team that they're traveling against, it's an easy trap game, and I think that was in the back of many people's minds. So that would be my best, that we actually were resilient late in the match to come back and win. I would say worse was that pitch. I was a little worried. We had Tyler Gibson coming back his first 90. I'm glad he played healthy, but it's one of those things I'm looking forward to some more consistent fields of play in MLS when we get there. So, yeah,
there's only, I think, one baseball field, Yankee Stadium, in Major League Soccer. So I'm sure we'll be excited to get away from there. Trisha, you're new to this show. Give us your best and your worst take.
My best take was Forrest Lasso with that block. I think it definitely would have ended in a draw without him. It was completely over Spencer's hands, and then Forrest Lasso saved the day. So that's my best. My worst is probably the Koenig kiss. I mean, on one hand, I don't blame the guy, but also
he's cute.
He is. But also, Koenig, that is the appropriate way to deal with someone who tries to kiss you without your consent. So, go Danny.
I have no idea how to get past that one, but yeah, seriously, he didn't take any grief there. So, gotta love Danny Koenig. Nobody's gonna try that again on him. I would
he is a married man. People need to respect that.
I love it. Follow that one up, Boston.
I tell you what, I think the best by far is Paul hurdling that wall and meeting the team. We were at the game and we were like, "What are they?" Oh, we were shocked when we saw him jump the wall. But in case you don't know, Paul is a fan who reached out to the players, Declan Ledesma. He's deaf, and he just really wanted to meet his FC Cincinnati heroes. And he was going to be in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, of all places. And the team really wanted to meet him too. And as soon as Ledesma scored his goal, he was the guy that Emmanuel pointed to, and just phenomenal. And it made everything better. Even traveling and hanging out with all the fans there, that still has to be the best. The worst, I think I'm going to go with the pitch.
Yeah. At least the one side, the infield side.
It wasn't as bad as like Indy made it out to be when they played there. Like it was the worst thing in the world. It's not Louisville bad, but very few things are Louisville bad in this world. And but it made for a little bit of a sloppier game. And once we clear Atlanta too, I think we should be home free from those baseball fields for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be it's nice that we at least locked up in the playoffs, at least in the Eastern Conference side, that we'll be at Nippert, so we'll be able to play on a regulation pitch. Of course, it's the plastic surface, but could be a lot worse. Bill Wolf, you've been messing with a lot of things. Are you ready, my man? Can you give us your best and worst?
Yeah, I'll give it my best shot. I'm going to follow suit and just say the pitch was the worst. I was watching that game, and for the first half, I was thinking that the pitch was wet.
Yeah.
But it was sand. I mean, every time they kicked the ball, the sand was spraying everywhere. I couldn't believe they were dealing with that. They were actually kicking. It was like playing in the rough or golfing in the rough or something. I don't know what was going on. But anyway, I think for the best for me was just literally the fact that no one got hurt.
Yeah.
So on that pitch, with that sand, with the mixture, even though they did put a grass over the infield, it still was not a great surface. And the fact that we didn't take any $1 million players there, and none of our less than $1 million players came back injured. So I think that for me was a plus. So.
Yeah, what you are referencing is Fernando Adi as well as Fatai Alashe did not make the trip up to Harrisburg. I don't believe they made the trip up to Richmond for tomorrow as well. I know there's, of course, things can change. Justin Hoyt wasn't up in Harrisburg. He was dealing with some things in England. So, of course, we have to, yeah, as you mentioned, you know, the whole roster has to play well to still get that game. I was going to talk about who impressed. We have several guys getting back on the pitch. Matt Boehner hasn't started a game in 3 months. Tyler Gibson make his first start of the season, coming back from injury. Thank you very much, Joseph. Who kind of impressed? Was it the guys coming off the bench? Was it those new guys? Who really stood out to you in this match?
Yeah, I'll lean on Tyler Gibson there. Not because of necessarily his play on the pitch, but that 90 minutes in a rough scenario where we really need that 90 from him, and where this team is going to be successful is that they'll be well rested when playoff time comes, or at least moderately rested with these in-between week games. So he was a player at the beginning of the year that I was very excited about. It was unfortunate that he had an injury early on, but seeing him good to go a full 90 made me feel good that he's going to be a piece that is potentially very important in our playoff push, whether that be starting or off the bench.
Trisha, I'm gonna have you answer that, and I'm gonna ask these two another question. So, who impressed?
I'm gonna second Joseph and say Tyler. It was good to see him get back on the pitch and play the full 90. It's good to see that we'll still have a relatively deep mid in case we need them, but also the subs really changed the entire pace of the match. Without them, I don't think we would have won.
Yeah, I think you're right. Without Nazmi putting the pressure up there, without Emery Welshman doing all the dirty work as well, I completely agree on that. Now, Boston, you were there. You got to experience this firsthand. Campiones, ole, ole, ole. What was that? What was the emotion like for the players? What was it like for you in the stands when you saw those guys celebrating their first ever USL Eastern Conference Championship?
That was pretty cool. They went wild. And Alan came over and had like the team meeting, and you didn't know, looking from the stands what Alan's saying to them, and you're almost wondering if he's grilling them for letting the one goal in, or if he's congratulating them on the response. But he must have went in there and said something like, "You guys are Eastern champions," and let them know, because they went nuts. I mean, they break out of that circle, and they're just ecstatic. And then they run over, and they see Paul. And then they run over to us, and the traveling Bailey was chanting, "Eastern champs, Eastern champs." And they were all grins. It was awesome.
As a guy who's been here since day one, Bill Wolf, does that Eastern Conference Championship, does that mean a lot to you? Is it nice to have? What's your kind of overall feeling on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people feel like it's the playoffs or nothing. But for me, as a soccer fan who watches this team and enjoys this team, it means a lot more to me that through 34 games in an entire season, they come out on top, as opposed to a one and done scenario in the playoffs. I mean, it's the playoffs have their own magic and their own mystery to them, and they're exciting in themselves, because if you fail, you're out. But at the same time, to really see that team, I mean, we're 19 games undefeated now, like 8 games won in a row. Mm-hmm. So those are phenomenal statistics, and it's just exciting to see this team grow and to click together. It's a lot of the same players we had at the beginning of the season, and we were wondering what was going to happen with them. We saw like the first 4 games or 5 games where it was just a matter of them clicking, and now they're clicking and they're just dominating everybody. So yeah, as a soccer fan, it's great to see that long-term just cruising through the whole entire season and dominating. So yeah, for me, that's it.
I was going to talk about this a little bit later, but what we'll talk about now, since you brought it up, is the records that FC Cincinnati are going to tie or beat in 2018. Just real quick, so far through 30 matches, FC Cincinnati is tied with the 2016 New York Red Bulls 2 squad for the most points in 30 games. So 69 points over 30 matches. A win or draw or any point tomorrow versus Richmond would set the new overall record for points in a season in USL. So I think that's pretty exciting to have that record. Of course, you mentioned 19 straight undefeated. The record's 22, so I mean, it's still within reach.
Got to win the rest, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, so 19. So you got to get 20 on Wednesday, 21 versus Indy, which is difficult. Then we go to Pittsburgh
and two
Nashville.
Yeah.
So to set a new record, that would be very, very challenging to do. One cool thing we can do on Wednesday is tie. Who is it? Real Monarchs with 9 straight wins. That would be something that would, I think, blow a lot of people away. New Yorker possible on Saturday. Trying to think what else we got here. The one thing that I really like about this is it's our first piece of silverware. Nobody will ever be able to take this away from us. Eastern Conference Championship, or we went on Wednesday regular season champion. So I'm going to kind of put this out there to you guys. With all these different stats you've seen, all these unbeatens and points and everything, is it too early to call this team one of the best? And I'll start with you, Bill. One of the best in USL history?
Absolutely not. I think we're showing that we're one of the best in the USL. Whether we are the best is to be debated, and people can get into that. But I mean, look at how many records that we've already set. Certainly, Richmond can take credit for the longest undefeated streak. The Monarchs can take it for the longest winning streak. We're in position to actually get both. Maybe we won't do 23 games undefeated. Maybe we won't win 9 in a row, but we certainly had 8. We've had 19 undefeated. So we're making statistics that very few other teams have been able to achieve in the long, grueling, ground out season, and we're out there doing it. So yeah, without a doubt, this team is going to be a team that we're going to be comparing other USL teams to in the future.
Boston, you get into it all the time with opposing podcast supporters and all that stuff. Can you go on another show and claim that this is the best, if not one of maybe top 3 or 4 best teams in USL, even without a USL Cup yet?
Oh, it'd be tough. I think it'd be tough. But there's only one record I'm actually genuinely interested in. It's nothing to do with wins, points, championships, trophies. Last year, Jeff Birding got on our show, and he put a number on a chalkboard for his team. Goals to hit. And we fell drastically short in 2017. But by golly, we are so close to Jeff Birding's magical goal number. And if we hit that number.
We hit it.
Yeah, we hit that.
Did we just pass it?
Yeah, 62 goals.
We are the greatest team in USL history.
You know how you remember things when you're drunk and then when you're sober you forget them?
Yeah.
I think that's Boston over here.
Yeah.
No, I did not notice.
Yeah, we literally hit the 62 goal mark that Jeff Birding predicted we would need to be the top in the East to be the top in the East.
Yeah.
So
what a wise man.
Bones' goal got us our 62 goals and cemented us as the top in the East.
And let's not forget, too, we're a top 5 defense.
Yep.
We're a top 5 defense, and that's with moving all these different pieces in, getting in Konate, still having Blake Smith, a triumvirate in the center backs, Hoyt's but mostly on that right side, but it's been kind of a makeshift, and even when you think about the D mid, so I believe our buddy Iron Pony Chef said that no champion of the USL has ever conceded more than a goal a game, and the fact that we haven't had a consistent D mid lineup or consistent center back lineup makes me feel pretty positive going into the playoffs. With that, Tricia, does this team need to win the USL Cup to be considered a great team, or are they already there?
I don't think we need to, but I mean, we want to.
Oh, heck yeah.
I think with the stats, like Bill was saying, I mean, we've already proven that we're pretty great. So I think whether we win it or not, we have a lot to be proud of, and we have a lot that we can, brag about. But I'm shooting for that win.
The best team in league history statistically in points per game was the 2012 Orlando City squad. James O'Connor was on the team. George Davis IV. Yeah, I remember that from their game. He was on there. They didn't win the cup that season. So do we need to win the cup? I mean, for this season to be a success, do we have to win the cup? Well, the crowd was remarkably
and there you
passionate.
go, Alan.
I couldn't hear them. Did they say yes?
I want Yosef. I want to hear Yosef because Yosef was about to say no. I don't know. Let's see.
I wasn't about to say no necessarily. I was just about to debate you on the silverware piece. We've won the most important piece of silverware in soccer, the IMG Academy preseason tournament trophy. So would the USL Championship be a nice side piece to that? Probably. But we've made our bets and won them. No, but I really think to walk away from the league this year, this is going to be an important thing to do. I mean, I think as far as this team's gone, they've proven everything they can in the regular season. There may be a few records that they can break, but ultimately what they're going to be remembered for as that exclamation point is going to be the championship. I know there's a lot of great memories built. I don't want to say the legacy of FCC solely hinges on a USL championship this year, but it would be a great finish.
There's absolutely no doubt that we have to not lose the first round of the playoffs.
My goodness. We have to win one playoff game? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we have to win one, at least one. I would actually say two. We can make it to the Eastern Championships.
Yeah. Well, if we lose, Nashville could still make fun of us because they probably won't make the playoffs this year, so they can't, even claim that they didn't lose yet. So, honestly, I wanted to say this to you a little bit earlier, Bill. You said that things are clicking right now. And over the past 4 games, I don't know if I could agree with that. We've won, and this might be a little bit of a measuring my expectations. Like, okay, so I'm sorry if you're an EPL fan. I'm going to say a team's name, and don't get mad at me because I have no dog in this fight. But when you look at, like, Man City last year, you just know they were just going to work over people. And I really kind of wanted to see that. Like, I know it's a little bit of, I guess, unrealistic expectations. So over the last 4 games, do you really feel like these matter anymore? Do you feel like they need to impose their will, or do you think it would be smarter to just back down the hatches, the regular season's over and done with?
Oh, I think when a team does that and they coast to the end, they usually do really miserable in the playoffs. So I absolutely think we need to stay on it. We need to try to win every game. Even if it means grinding some out. And I know, like, the Penn game did not look pretty. But if you take back and think about it, the goals we scored actually were. Yeah. Right? So there was creativity. It was just a matter of finding those moments, capitalizing on them. And I think this is a team that is going to find those moments. Welshman got the ball. He created an opportunity. Ledesma trailed. He took advantage of that opportunity. Those are the kinds of moments that we need more and more of. And this team is clicking. They're starting to understand and follow each other and take advantage of those
different ways to win. Different ways to win a game. Yeah. And you guys have any thoughts on that?
Not every game is going to be pretty. That was what the difference was in your example between Man City and some other teams. That when those games were tough, they battened down the hatches and won. They didn't blow games to teams like the equivalent of Penn FC that they drop points, either a draw or a loss, so that's why they were so far out ahead. So, yeah, I would love to see them blowing out everybody they play, but I think there's a positive to be taken that they don't get downtrodden when they have a tough match in tough circumstances.
Yeah, we can talk about those tough circumstances. I'd say right now, if you had to point to the biggest weakness when FC Cincinnati's on the field, especially in this last slew of games, it's been they've let the opposing team score first. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that, almost 3 times now?
3 out of 4.
Yeah, 3 out of 4. And it's the problem, but all 3 times FC Cincinnati has bounced back, and it speaks to their character. It speaks to the fact that they know, oh, no, we're down a goal, but they fight even harder to get back. And I think I need that. We need that in the playoffs. We have to go 4 straight wins, and one of them we're probably going to go down first. So who's going to be the team that responds?
Good teams find a way.
Yeah, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but it's almost like they're lacking excitement going into some of these games, knowing certain things have already been achieved, or at least very, very close. I'm sure they'll be jazzed when they get in front of that Nipper crowd on Saturday versus Indy. I'm sure they'll be jazzed for Richmond to go out there and win, even though it's probably going to be a sparse crowd, midweek game, short rest. But I'm really excited for a game that really matters now. You know, I'm almost counting down those last couple days till that, or last couple games until that the playoffs start here. Real quick by comparison, because I hate all things Lou City, respect, but hate all things Lou City. They've won just as many Eastern Conference championships, and they've never won a regular season championship.
Correct.
So now if we get the USL Cup, I mean, they just need to eat the S word, right?
We would be even on silverware because you actually do get a piece of silverware for winning the entire league, correct?
Yeah.
So we would be even on silverware.
Right
we would
now.
just have different pieces. And then if we went on to win, then we would outnumber them.
I'm not sure if you get a trophy for Eastern Conference playoff champion or not, but
no, I don't think so.
It doesn't matter. We got the Shield. I'm excited for that. The last ever just plain old USL Shield. We'll talk about the USL Championship later. Real quick, do we get a star for this? Do we get a silver star like they do in Major League Soccer? Do we care anymore? We're getting a new logo.
I don't think we keep the star even if we win the whole thing.
No.
We'd go straight to being the clowns of MLS if we carried our USL star up and was like, look at this, guys.
I don't know. It's pretty tough.
Does Orlando have a star?
It's pretty tough to be worse than San Jose. 18 points or whatever it is. All right, guys. Well, I do want to thank our this time of show where we thank our supporters. Big shout out to Tim Bronsel of King's Hammer. They sponsor the King's Hammer hotline when we do our call-in shows every so often. Got to thank Matt Adamczyk, Mama Subs, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Mike Hudson, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Jesse Gill, Kathleen Francis, Jesse King, Teresa Everidge, Matt Imholt. Liverpool is superior to Man U. And Sagan Sagai. I'm a Sagai. How you guys doing? Well, thank you all very much, so supporters. Go check out to make sure we can keep doing shows like this, get better tripods so they don't break next time. Go to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. We appreciate everything. It's a labor of love here. Again, real quick shout out to Buffalo Wings and Rings, Oakley. Come back out to their Tuesday night wing nights. I'm going to eat a dozen or 2 dozen or 3 dozen garlic wings and come home, and my wife's going to be like, what the heck? But come out to Buffalo Wings and Rings. All right, guys, so let's dive down into the playoffs here real quick. So we know FC Cincinnati is hosting the first 3 rounds of the playoffs should they advance. Eastern Conference Championships #1 seed. They win on Wednesday. Talk to USL League offices. It's not a bidding process as maybe once seemed. FC Cincinnati would host the USL Cup should they advance to that round. We've talked about this scenario for 3 years, Bill Wolf. Is this an advantage hosting it in Nippert? I mean, yes, we got great crowds, but people come in and they get jacked up. I mean, Louisville, look at them. They're a different team when they play us at Nippert versus down in Schlepp Rockfield. What do you think, man? Advantage, disadvantage? Man, I'm taking some shots at Louisville tonight, aren't I?
Keep it up.
All right.
So, absolutely, it's an advantage. I agree that teams that come amp up. I mean, they bring, if they're an MLS2 team, they bring better players. If they're not, they still come excited because they know there's going to be a huge crowd. There's going to be a lot of energy. It's a great stadium. Everyone's excited to play. They take selfies and all kinds of stuff when they come. So great for them. But I think we still amp up more. And I think the crowd is there for us. I think the Bailey is hostile and annoying to the goalkeepers when they're, in front of the Bailey. And I think it gives our team that extra piece they need. And I think on top of that, new to this year is as we are starting to get some, let's say, players who are used to playing in nicer facilities, those players definitely do not like going on the road and playing in baseball fields. So, it's one thing to be a player who's been in the USL, is used to that environment, understands that when you go on the road, you're going to have kind of a crappy field with, some artificial turf or some fake grass laid over top of dirt, and understand that you're going to have a small crowd. and you can deal with that. But if you're not used to that, if you're used to playing in front of 15,000 is a small crowd, and a lot of grass pitches and nice surfaces, to go on those away, events or whatever, those facilities, it's a downer.
Yeah.
So I know that Nippert isn't grass, but it is a consistent surface and it is a great environment. So I think that to have some of these players who are aspiring for more, those are the players that are going to get up even higher, and we're going to have those players at their full capacity at a place like Nippert versus away.
Boston?
I listen to a lot of shows like this from other teams in the league, and they've started to talk about it because they realize we might have to play at Nippert Stadium. And this very same conversation came up in a Tampa Bay podcast because they're looking at possibly sneaking back in which case they would be the 8th seed. So they tended to think that we would have all this extra added pressure because of the last 3 years and the history, and I just disagree because this is a new team. And they have already thrown so many monkeys off their back, winning in Florida, going out there and having a winning season, just all of the stuff that
beating Charleston.
Yeah, beating Charleston. The very first game, we immediately took one of our historically bad teams that we play against and threw it off of us. And so I think the only added pressure is just going to be the same thing both teams are dealing with, and that's the playoffs.
Yeah. And
our guys are used to Nippert. They play there 16, 17 games, maybe more if you count the Open Cup. So
they train there.
This is our home, and we have the advantage.
You guys gonna disagree?
No, why would I disagree with the truth? So I do think it's a huge advantage. They're used to coming in to our pitch. They're used to the hostile Bailey. We are a little hostile. And I think they get really jazzed to perform in front of so many people. And I think when other teams come in, it can either be an advantage or a disadvantage when you have, like Bill said, the MLS2 teams that bring in a lot more seasoned players. And I don't know, maybe the environment can make some people nervous, but I feel like the other teams either play very well or they don't play well at all, but our guys consistently prove themselves at home.
Yep.
No, they get jazzed up. And I think a lot of this team is new and they've adopted the city very quickly. So I think that can only help. I know, like we've all said, some teams are going to get hyped up to play in front of a big crowd, but there's a lot of nervousness, and I can't imagine what it would be like to be the keeper that goes down 1-0 behind the Bailey. Like, that's got to be frightening to hear people behind you, whether they're just heckling you or it's the crowd chanting as a whole. So I think any and all negatives are far outweighed by positives.
My worry, and the only thing disadvantage-wise I see, is if they get that first goal and they get into it. And you saw, what's the guy from Toronto go 1, 2, 3?
Endo,
thank you, Sabasa Endo. And he got all jazzed. And then FC Cincinnati still kind of got excited. The crowd got FC Cincinnati back into it. I think that's an advantage. But if the crowd somehow gets out of it, man,
it's a playoff match.
It's a playoff. We're not going to get out of it.
I hope so, man. I hope so. I know. I've only been to 5 games this year.
Even when we lost to Charleston in the playoffs, that place was rip-roaring in 2016.
Heck yeah, I remember that, man. I got Austin Berry's jersey after that game. I was having a good time. All right, so, Joseph, you kind of got the tail end of that question. We still got 4 games to go, but let's be real. Are you more focused on the playoffs starting, or are you still trying to enjoy these last couple of moments?
I'm definitely still trying to enjoy these last couple of moments. Once the playoffs get here, that's potentially the last game. I know we all know and believe we have 4 games left, but take it in, especially that last true regular season home game. But whether it be going out locally to watch the games or even just seeing them play their away games or making the trip, heck, it's going to be a lasting memory, and it's a finite amount of time. So I'm excited for the playoffs, but I'm not looking past anything.
Yeah, enjoy that those last regional rivalries versus Pittsburgh and in Nashville for a year. Are you guys going down? And you travel everywhere because you don't have kids, you lucky man.
No, I'll be on vacation the Nashville and Pittsburgh games. So otherwise, of course, I'd be there.
Yes, is going to watch your house, huh?
I don't know if that's a good idea. Remember last time we were here, someone tried to have a party at my place. Maybe we can have a party at Boston's for one of the away games.
I dig it. I know he's got a good liquor cabinet, too. All right, Trisha? you excited? I mean, what's more exciting for you? The last home game playoffs?
All of it.
All of it.
I'm excited for everything.
All right. So Boston, I'm gonna go to you with this one. What player? You can say Ledesma. You can say Adi. What's the player that you're looking at that we have to rely on for this team to go far in the playoffs?
Oh, that's easy. And it's definitely, in my opinion, the USL Player of the Year, the most valuable player, Emmanuel Ledesma.
Whoop.
You do not score, what is he up to, 13 or 14?
14.
14 goals, 15 assists, responsible for almost 30 goals now.
8 out of the last 11 goals he had an assist or scored.
Yeah, and at one point he was responsible for 50% of this team's goal scoring. And it's still almost there. We have to take him to Major League Soccer, in my opinion, and we have to rely on him to win a USL Cup.
Bill?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious to say, Adi or Ledesma or players like that. But I would actually say, for me, the player I'm going to be looking at is Alashe.
Yeah.
For me, where our team breaks down is the midfield. When we start losing control of the midfield and we can't connect the back line, the front line, and we're lobbing long balls, we get ourselves into trouble. Now, admittedly, put a player like Adi up there, he's a whole different player than Koenig or Welshman. I mean, he's probably got 4 inches on a couple of them and, a lot more muscle. So, I mean, maybe he can do a little more with that. But for me, when this team succeeds, we are possessing the ball and we're moving it through the midfield.
Going forward.
And we're going forward.
Yeah.
And for me, he's that player that has shown that he can make a significant difference for us and lock down that midfield and create opportunities.
I believe he's been out because he picked up a knock in training. Is that right? You were down there. Trisha, who's the person you're going to think we rely on?
I'm going to agree with Bill. I think it's easy to say Adi or Manu, but if we look beyond that, I think Alashe is going to be key. Like he said, we can sometimes suffer at midfield, and I think he's a very strong player that is really going to tie everything together. So he's going to be one of the ones I'm looking at.
Yo?
I'm going to go Corbin Bone for a similar reason.
Hashtag Bone the playoffs.
I hate you.
That Bill said.
Stole mine.
We both stole it from Subs, but the crowd doesn't need to know that. But no, for this kind of the same reason you're saying. So I found that when Corbin's playing well, it frees up Nazmi to do the things he wants to do and really play full forward into the attack. Not that he's not capable of being box to box, but it frees him up. And when Corbin's being flexible and playing that sort of box to box role, I feel like the defense and offensive sides of the ball have that mesh that we sometimes worry about.
I agree with that. I definitely agree. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about Bone here in a second. Once we get to, I'm going to go Trisha here. Who's going to be the surprise person that will succeed in the playoffs? Who do you think is going to be that guy that maybe the unsung hero that's going to matter?
I am going to go with Forrest Lasso.
Okay.
And I am going to go with Forrest Lasso because I think he's really great. I think he's probably our best center back, in my opinion. We can argue that later. That's fine. And I don't know, that save with Spencer.
Yeah.
He's my hero right now, so maybe I'm still riding that high a little bit, but I think he's where we need him to be the majority of the time. And I think, offense wins games, but so does defense. So I'm going to go with Forrest Lasso.
We said USL champions, going back to Pony, USL champions, USL Cup champions in the playoffs have shut out their opponents 43% of the time. So defense, what they say, does win championships. I'm going to go with Josef here because he followed you two up last time. So who's going to be the unsung hero that we need to stand up?
Ooh. I'm going to avoid the one I'm thinking because I don't want to steal your thunder. But I'll say Danny Koenig. I think he's going to be important for, it's going to be a mix between him and Adi. But there's going to be a lot of times either he's going to be coming off the bench or getting that start. He's going to get minutes. And I think his hustle is going to be important, especially when we potentially do go down a goal. That's unmatched, at least in my eyes. So
as long as no one tries to kiss him. He gets spicy.
And you might see some wrestling moves if that happens. Boston?
I think you're all missing the beautiful point here, and that's Nazmi Al-Badawi. That guy, we saw what he could do at the beginning of the season when he scored. He's 9 goals, I think, and he's been stuck there.
Yeah.
And we've seen him play, and we're out of that diamond, which is what he really thrived in. But we cannot forget he has a leg, and he can fire shots from outside the box. And I want him to take chances again because he's extremely accurate. And when he shoots, he's about 50%. When he's on target, it's a goal. So we have to get Nazmi shooting the ball. And if he shoots in the playoffs, I think we get an extra goal a game.
Bill Wolf?
I'm actually going to agree with you, Boston, but I'm going to go at it from a slightly different side. I think Nazmi, his true potential is to create opportunities. And he came into this team and he shot several times and he scored a bunch of goals and everybody got excited and he started doing that. But for me, his true potential is to unlock other players. And watching him in training, it seems to me that he and Adi have really started to create a relationship. I see them talking to each other all the time. I see them, after a play, Adi will walk over and point and make some comments like, I wanted this or I wanted that. I can't hear what they're saying, but it's obvious he's giving instruction. And Nazmi just seems really very intensely focused on what Adi's saying. And even the little bit we've seen them playing together, there's been some really interesting moments, some exciting moments. And I think we're going to see more and more of those as that relationship develops. And I'm really excited to see how that develops in the playoffs.
I'm going to have a shocker here for you. I'm going to say Tyler Gibson, because we're going to need somebody. If we go up 1-0 or 2-0, we're going to need to bring in somebody to help lock down the midfield. And if we sometimes later in games, we kind of go back from the 4-2-3-1 to like a 4-3-3. We might bring in Welshman for Adi, and then bringing in a Gibson to spell Alashe or let Alashe go forward. Still kind of a D-mid, but bring him behind. I think he gives a little bit more flexibility. And even though, like, say if somebody goes down, he still kind of gives a little bit of depth that you could still play Corbin Bone out in more of an attacking role. So I think he's somebody that could really matter. I think he had a very good game on Saturday, 90 minutes. I wouldn't say he was a man of the match, but consistent 75% passing, a lot of it going forward, maintaining possession. So I think that's the unsung hero that I think could really help this team spur to a USL championship. Our last 15 minutes of our show here, guys. If you're in the crowd and want to stay for some FC Cincinnati trivia, we got some cool gifts, some gift cards, some water bottles, some cool swag. So please make sure to stay. And if you're at home and you want to get down to Buffalo Wings and Rings in Oakley, please get in your car and drive down here right now. It's only raining a little bit outside. It's all right out there. The Reds game's delayed. Well, yeah, they're still playing. There you go. All right. So, Hoyt? All right, some club news real quick. And Bill Wolf, you've kind of been a little bit more on this than I have. FC Cincinnati broke ground on their training facility this week, now sponsored by Mercy Health. Said it's going to be ready to go this spring.
Yeah, I was hoping to make it out to the grand digging or whatever that was. I didn't actually make it, but yeah, that's my understanding. They're gonna, I believe they're supposed to start early next year, so they will actually train there, but they'll be using temporary facilities. So they're going to bring in some little modulars or something, and they'll work out the modulars, but they will actually set up shop starting there next season. And then I think it's sort of late summerish is they should have the grand, $30 million super facility there. And it should be really exciting. I mean, it's not obviously just for the first team, though obviously that's what we're thinking about, but we're going to have youth players at the high school age, the very, very best in like a 75 to 100 mile radius of this area. They'll all come together and form a team, and they'll be training there. They'll be playing games there. So this is going to be a place you can go and watch some youth soccer at an extremely high level, and potentially players that end up being, homegrown FCC signed players down the road. So it's going to be a lot of excitement to see what Luke Sassano does with that. And, I think they're going to have a turf field and some stands and everything. So it should be a lot of fun.
So the priorities are fields, locker rooms, Koch's office.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine it's going to have a whole lot of stuff inside with, cooling down, sub-zero stations and weightlifting and all that stuff. So, but it should be very impressive if any of us get to get inside and see it.
So the one thing I'm going to say, Joseph, I don't want to sell you out here, my man, but why did you give Coach Koch that fashion advice on how to wear his construction helmet? I don't know if y'all seen this. His helmet was riding up way up in the back, way down the front. You always have your hats up like this.
You didn't want to mess up his hair, man.
Dude, Koch felt super cool doing that. But no, I mean,
is he a Liverpool fan or Arsenal fan?
I don't know. I should know that. but I'm gonna
He's an Arsenal fan.
Ignorant of it. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Didn't know if you gave him some advice there too.
But no, that was a pretty cool moment, and I think it's going to be one of those moments that kind of sets us apart. It's like I felt it was the transition moment, kind of to say, hey, we're moving on to bigger and better things. And more importantly, it was a talking point a couple of weeks ago when Nadi was interviewed. Like that training facility is going to make a difference in the year or two we have to play on Nippert, where they're not having to play on turf necessarily, week in and week out. Sure, in the games they will, but the hours and hours they're playing on the pitch in practice will be on grass, and it'll be a bit more comfortable.
But don't forget also that when they go away games, there's going to be probably more grass pitches than turf pitches. So they really need to have a facility to train on grass, or when they get there, they'll be at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah. Now they'll be able to pick their time they want to practice and everything else. This is the weirdest part. It really hit home to me when the Major League Soccer, for every team, they put their Major League Soccer logo in the team's colors. And seeing the Major League Soccer logo in FC Cincinnati's colors for the first time on the honorary dirt box thing, that was kind of surreal to me. And that, like, I don't want to say I wanted to shed a tear, but that really was like, holy crap. This is for real. Like this. Okay. So I always say this story. Brad and I were at LaSalle High School one night for just an athletic boosters event. There's 11 people in the room, and Jeff Burden came with a PowerPoint. And that's what FC Cincinnati was. FC Cincinnati was a PowerPoint presentation in the fall of 2015. And now to see where we are is just incredible. How quickly we've come, and it's just been mind blowing. And I still can't believe it that we're going to play in Major League Soccer. No, I'm not one of saying Major League Soccer, the league's more important, but just how far we've come is truly amazing. All right, guys, playoffs are around the corner. Going to have a big crowd this week. I guess a couple weeks. But now they're also saying, all this great attendance is coming out, and they're trying to aim for 20,000 season ticket holders for 2019. Pretty exciting. I think it's huge. There's 14,000 currently sold, 1,600 deposits coming in. Boston, and we talked offline about this. Do you think that number is too high, too low? Is it significant?
I think it's right about where you want to be because, yes, you could go up to, say, 24 if your stadium was going to be Nippert for the next 10 years, but it's not. And we're still finalizing our own stadium in construction, and it's the type of thing where we need to make sure that we don't call anybody up 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and say, hey, Bill Wolf, we need you to give us your season ticket back because we oversold them.
Or charge more like LAFC did.
Or price everybody up. I really like where we're at. We have one of the lowest ticket points, price points in Major League Soccer, and that's great for this Midwest area. That's how you're going to continue to get soccer to grow in Cincinnati because we're not done growing. And I think we'll get up to that 20,000 mark at Nippert, and then 28. I like it. I like the ambitions. I think we'll see some high cap games where we're sold out, and I think we'll see a few that are lower than that. But if that's the average, I'm happy with it.
Trisha, how big? I mean, I assume they're going to base this on building their Major League Soccer stadium. Do you build it at 28? Do you build it at 35? I mean, I would assume that they're going to raise their ticket prices.
I would assume, but I think if we start at 28, that's realistic. I mean, I think we've discussed it before. You'd rather have a stadium that's completely full than a stadium that has thousands of seats empty. So I think 28 is a good start. And from what I understand, they're going to build the stadium in a way where you can add to it. I could be wrong. I haven't heard definitively. But you can always add more seats. But I'd rather have the seats that are there full than empty, like Slugger.
Yeah, I mean, I think that 20,000 is a great number. If we have a 21,000 seat stadium, that means that Jeff Burden failed because I know that's not what he wants.
Has he ever?
Yeah, no, he's never has so far, right? But at least when it comes to FCC. But as far as the stadium, if we had a 21,000 seat stadium, we'd basically be Portland, right? We'd have almost every seat is a season ticket holder, and we'd probably start to have a wait list. And if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. I think it's more likely that we're looking at 25,000, and this really is the opportunity for FCC to get a chance to find out what this market will bear. They've already raised the price a little bit to MLS-ish prices. As Boston said, they're the lowest in the MLS, but but they're obviously more than USL. We've seen a drop off already from 18,000 to 14,000. We might pick up a few more before the deadline, but now we're getting new deposits coming in. Yeah. My guess is we're going to at least get to 18, hopefully to 20, and that's probably an indication to FCC that they should go higher, and you'll get Carl and investors who are willing to put the money out.
Sure. I just don't want to be like Nashville, build a 35,000 seat stadium and have that huge uncertainty, because they only have 9,000, 8,000 seats to sell over the next 2 years, and it's really tough to build a market that way.
Yeah, and with them playing in First Tennessee Park, it only holds like 9 or 10, so it's not like they don't have the advantage at Nipper to really see what the market will bear.
Well, I think they've officially announced they're going to play their MLS games in Nissan
for a year.
So it's just it's going to be going from a 10,000 seat stadium to a 60,000.
Yeah, for 1 year, I think.
Yeah. So that's an interesting case study. Yeah, they'll be fun to watch.
All right, guys, we got about a little less than 10 minutes here, so let's briefly talk about these upcoming games. Richmond, if you're probably listening to this, either Richmond is going to happen or just happened. Quick notes: FC Cincinnati has never won a game in Richmond. Of course, 2 games, large sample size and all, but both have ended up 1-1. They've only beaten Richmond, I think, twice. I want to say 5 times, but could be wrong. So,
would you say we only have one last chance to
one last chance, man, to kick them? One last chance to kick them. I like it. Very good. And they're dropping down to division next year too. So we'll see if these guys are playing for their spot to land on another USL Championship team or go down to a USL League One.
League One.
Yeah, League One.
League One. Thank goodness. All right, so go check out one thing. I really want this to be a fun game. I want to see Russell Cicerone get in this game, light it up. Nosby maybe start, maybe give some of our guys a little bit of rest, considering the fact that Richmond has allowed 67 goals this season. I think it's like 3rd or 4th worst defense, and they have the worst offense, 25 goals scored. So we're not trying to poke fun at this guy because I think he works his tail off, but we might see some of it this weekend. I mean, Coach Koch said that, Wednesday. Coach Koch said almost every guy, if they're healthy, should play over this stretch of games. That's something to worry about. I know you're pretty passionate about taking the foot off the gas a little bit.
Oh, I mean, there's one thing to take your foot off the gas. There's another thing to rotate players, right?
With players of quality.
Right. So I think it's up to Allen to figure out what he needs to do to win. So, if Cicerone can start and we can win the game, I'm happy with Cicerone to start. If that means that we, can't get that done, then we need to make a change. At the same time, the last game, we brought in players at the end that kind of spurred things forward. So I think it makes sense for him to roll out some of these other players. I mean, we rotated a little bit in the last game. I would expect us to rotate a little bit in the next game. And I would expect for Indy, we're probably back to our full lineup.
Yeah.
Just because it's a
Adi, Elashe.
And we could bring in, exactly Adi, who I don't believe has traveled. And so for me, you rest Elashe because he took a knock. You rest Adi because you don't want him to get hurt on some weird pitch. And you go out there and you get it done with the players we have. So because they're not the necessarily the starters doesn't mean you're taking your foot off the pedal. It just means that you're letting some other players play, and we have the depth, I think, still to win.
So kind of transitioning to the weekend, you're going from a team in Richmond that has nothing to play for to a team that's sitting right on the bubble. Indy's 4 points above the playoff drop, sitting, I think, in 6th place right now. They have a huge match midweek versus they host Tampa Bay Rowdies, which if somehow Ken Hedger, if somehow they Ken Hedger. Sorry, Ken Hedger's butt was in the shot. It was too funny. You go from Richmond to Indy, team who has a lot more to play for. Bill mentioned they should have a run outside. If they're going for, you have 9 wins on Wednesday, should we throw everybody out there, Joseph, to go get that 10th win? Does that matter?
I think it's a nice statement win. I think this team, like you said, has a lot to play for. So I would want to see, especially if they rotate over the week. But more importantly, I remember we're not too far removed from the game where they knocked out Kenny Walker, and that really made me and made the fans mad. And there was a lot of banter between Twitter accounts, front offices. So I think this is a game that they really should want to win from a revenge standpoint, not even necessarily because of the prior result, but because, hey, Jack Mack knocked out I know he's not our captain, but he's a leader on the team. And
he hurt Kenny Walker, and he must pay.
There we go. She says it so much more concisely than me, but it's spot on.
That's the reason why I want to win. I'm concerned about Jack McInerney knocking one of our dudes unconscious and nothing happening. But I'm also very protective over Kenny Walker. So It's personal. Don't hurt him.
Well, we know Alan Koch by now, and Alan Koch focuses on home matches at Nippert. In fact, he will mess with the away lineup, which is what we're going to see in Richmond. I think if you were in the 18 in Richmond, but you didn't play like Pacanante, I think you'll see those guys in the starting 11. Plus, did he pick up anybody new?
Well, I was going to comment. We just had somebody come up here and show an Instagram picture. There was a training picture put out on Instagram today, I guess, and Audie was in the picture. So
in Richmond.
In Richmond. So
really?
It looks like Audie is in Richmond. So
I hope we didn't ruin anything there.
Hey, it's on Instagram.
I know. I'm joking. I like it. No, it'd be interesting. I mean, you need time with the guy. Yep. There's worse places.
Yeah, probably won't start. But hey.
Never know. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate Buffalo Wings and Rings and Oakley allowing us to come out here. Tear into some wings here. Some good beer specials. And been tapping the Rockies tonight. So, guys, we're going to dive it down into our final thoughts here. Real quick, I guess, before we do that, housekeeping we got to do. Make sure to check in to March to Match Day, which will come out Thursday night. Going to be speaking with Nipun Chopra of Sock Takes to preview Indy. Congratulations to the people in USL for coming up with more convoluted names in the U.S. soccer landscape. USL Championship going into 2019. That's going to be so exciting things going there. But glad we're in Major League Soccer that season. Avoid the jokes. Final thoughts, Joseph. Go ahead, my man.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. Just wanted to take a moment. Everybody enjoyed the moment. We're nearing the end of the season. I think it was a little bit sobering to rip out your ticket last week, whether you're in the Bailey or you have season tickets, and you see, that's just one left. And things will be, the same and different in MLS. So let's enjoy what we have here. I know everyone's excited, but really, we have a couple of months before soccer is going to be over in one way or another for FCC until for the off season. So let's take it away and have a good finish here.
Man, we're going to be more busy in the off season than the
I meant the greater we, not the CST we.
I love it. Trisha?
I think we just need to enjoy the rest of the season. We've had a lot of great memories, and there are more to come. We need to focus on winning everything, and also, hi, Dad.
Woo-hoo. Boston.
This streak has been amazing. This win streak, this unbeaten streak. But don't get focused on it, because the moment, if we do happen to drop one, which is very possible with all the rotation we're going to be doing, and Alan cares about the playoffs. He cares about the cup. He doesn't care about necessarily making sure every single one of the last 4 games is a win. Mm-hmm. But if we happen to drop the game, you'll hear a lot of criticism across the USL, because everybody's just been sitting there waiting and watching for FCC to fail. Here is Boston's hot tip. If anyone gives you crap about us dropping the streak, just post how many losses their team took during our streak, because every single team in the USL is at least up to 2.
We got a lot of green on our USL .com. Gotta love it. Bill?
Well, we got 2 games in the next few days, and I'm just ready for us to lock in that USL Regular Season Championship. So I think it'll be a big party in Nippert when we do that, and I'm looking forward to it.
Real quick, just definitely excited to get back out for the Indy game. It's kind of sad. Like, this is our only time that we get to have Slaughterhouse 19, the BYB, all those guys in Cincinnati, and I really wish that this could have been something a little bit more. So I'm a little bit sad. So let's just show them our one time we get to play them. Let's just show them what we have here in Nippert Stadium as a supporter. Come out in force, be loud, be friendly. Don't do anything negative. And
Dan,
Boston, don't get thrown out. really, guys, just enjoy it. Very excited. GA is sold out apparently. Thank you, Nick Superling. So it should be a pretty exciting game there. Guys, again, thank you very much to Buffalo Wings and Rings Oakley for allowing us to come out this evening. Hopefully, get to come out again. Hopefully next time we'll have a player, special guest join us. Of course, they're all in Richmond right now, so a little bit difficult there on the scheduling, but very excited. Thank you all very much for coming on out. Like, rate, and review us on social media, and we will. Thank you very much, Nick Superling, I guess. Thank you very much, and y'all, we will talk to y'all Thursday on March Match Day, and then next Monday on our normal show, normal time, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank y'all. Yeah, I know, right? We want to do trivia?